this video, I'm going to walk you through how I use Pixellu Smart Albums to create a wedding album super fast. The first step will be to curate your images to the ones that you want to include in your album. So that might be, your client's favorites that they select, or maybe a highlight selection of your own. And when you open a new project, you're going to want to select your album company. So they have a whole host of companies already in their system. I personally use Decora, which is my favorite album company, and I love the 9x12 inch sized album. I use their Artisan album, which is a jacqueline album that is just so beautiful. They also have, like 10x10 sized albums as well. But again, 9x12 is kind of like my standard favorite with Decora. So with that, it'll import the exact sizing that you need to be able to just export these files over and use them for your album company. You can also create custom layouts as well, so you can see the layouts will provide how big of a spread you want, and the safe zones in which they're going to be making sure your images won't get cut off when they actually create the album. So again, this album preset based on company is super helpful. So when you do that, you'll create your new project, and then you can select any templates that you want. So let's say you only want templates that don't include square cropping. You can say just those without square frames. Or let's say you only want 3:2 ratios. So as you can see on here, this says all templates. Some of these ratios are definitely not 3:2. They will crop your images to different sizes based on the layout. I usually just click all templates just to give me all the options. I usually do a background color of white. I don't have borders around my images, and I usually do like a thin gap, only 8 points, to create my albums. So I'm going to close this out because I already have my test open, and import the images. So here I've got my highlights folder, and this is going to be just a selection from throughout my client's wedding day. And I'll click open, and it'll start importing these images. So this one is about 200. You can curate it down even further if you'd like. And for most album companies, they usually do 10 spreads as like a minimum. So I'm going to create for you today a quick 10 spread album. You can use their auto build feature, and that will actually kind of put all of these images into the layouts for you, and then you can adjust from there. I'm just going to go ahead and create this from scratch. So usually I would do it throughout like a wedding day story. So the first image on your album will be maybe something of the couple. It'll be like that very first one that they open up. So I have one I always loved from their wedding. So that's going to be your first page. Just you open the cover of the album, and then that's the image they'll see on the inside. From there, I'm going to do maybe a few of their details. I personally love just like one image per page to just get the most impact, but you can do any number. So let's say we want to do some like getting ready shots, something like that. Maybe we'll do like the groom getting ready as well. Maybe paired with some details. You could even do, like 2 images together on one side with one image larger on the other. That's like another common layout that I really like to do. And then of course we want to do something where our bride is getting ready. So maybe, getting her veil placed, something where she's all ready and set to go. And maybe we want like their first look or something like that. And gorgeous portraits that we love to see. She definitely had her bridal moment here. Maybe we want to grab one from their ceremony details. You know, you could pair, again, you could do like a large with two small, and you could even swap it by clicking and dragging across, and that'll swap the order of the images on the page. Then you can click here, the layout button, to quickly swap between the different layouts. So for 3 images, you can see kind of my favorite ones that I've also adjusted the crop ratio on. So the one where it's 1 on the left with 2 smaller, 1 on the right with 2 smaller, and then 3 across the middle. Like those are kind of the standard ones that I would use that I think look really nice. So you can choose between those as well as a whole host of other different templates that you can use, and all of them will work with your album layout to print with your album company. Okay, now let's say we want, you know, the last bit of their ceremony where they look happy and excited. You've got some of their tent with their reception details. And here I want to switch it back to the big one on the left to kind of change it up every other from the last time we looked at it. So you can see on the far right side that all the spreads kind of small, so you can make sure, let's say if you did a big one on the left with 2 small, that the next one would be like a big one on the right with 2 small, and that you're kind of giving a nice spacing. You can also do one large one in the center, which is a fun way to have like a full spread. And let's say we would just want one of them kind of to end it with like their first dance or something like that. And once you want to end it, I end with a one image or one spread on the last page. So I will right click and say convert to single page. So that's going to be the last one. So this is actually, it says 12 spreads, but with the 2 half spreads, it's considered 11 spreads. Again, 10 is usually minimum. And so you can see how quickly I was able to generate a really beautiful album. From there, you can export. So you could do, for print, you could do all your spreads in a JPEG format. So each one will be individual JPEGs. They also have a cloud proofing option that you can use with Pixellu, where you actually just send a link over to your client and they can provide comments. And then what I do usually is export to print and put it in, I use PicTime. There's a workflow in PicTime where you can upload the spreads, and then your clients can comment on each spread, or even put a little pin on the specific image that they're commenting about and say like swap or remove or whatever, change to this other one. So it's really nice because it's integrated with their gallery, so they can kind of go back and forth between the gallery images and then referencing their spreads as well as they make their comments. So that's the way that I do it. And then once they're happy with it and they give you the feedback, then you can use these exported ones to print and upload to your album company. And that's it.